You are now listening to the Yeshua community. The Gospel of Mark is the earliest Gospel we have, and at the same time the most enigmatic. It is short, sharp, energetic, and almost brutally honest in its simplicity. But perhaps the most fascinating thing about Mark is what he does not tell. Mark says almost nothing about Yeshua's childhood. No birth stories, no angels, no wise men, no poetic prologue. Yeshua simply steps into history as an adult man from Galilee. This in itself suggests that Mark is not interested in theological discussions about origins. For him, what matters is what Yeshua does now, in public. He also tells very little about Yeshua's teaching, and almost nothing about Yeshua's ethics. There is no Sermon on the Mount, no long moral discourses, no systematic set of ethical principles. This may be because Mark assumed something, that Yeshua stood firmly within the Torah, and that his readers knew the law well enough that it didn't need repeating. Instead, Mark lets us see the ethics in motion, through Yeshua restoring, healing, embracing, and lifting people up. Just as striking is the silence about Rome. Mark gives no political analysis, no description of the oppression everyone in Judea felt daily. But he may have communicated it through symbols, just as Jewish storytellers often did when criticism had to stay beneath the surface. One of the clearest examples is the story of the possessed man in Gerasa. The demons tell Yeshua their name, Legion. For a first-century Jew, Legion was not a neutral word. It was the symbol of raw Roman military power. Yeshua drives this legion into a herd of pigs, an animal Jews considered unclean. The entire herd rushes into the water and dies. For Roman soldiers, the pig was a symbol of their own legionary identity. The story becomes a veiled protest. One day, the oppressive might of Rome will fall. Mark embeds a quiet judgment on the empire in a story that Roman officials would not have recognized as political at all. Another striking silence in Mark is the ending. In the earliest manuscripts, the Gospel ends abruptly with the women fleeing the empty tomb in fear and saying nothing to anyone. No appearances, no triumphant scenes, no risen Yeshua walking with disciples, only silence. It is almost as if Mark forces the reader to complete the story. Mark also tells us very little about Yeshua as a person. There is no psychological portrait, no introspective depth. Yeshua remains a mystery in motion, someone who acts more than he explains. Perhaps this brevity is intentional, allowing the mystery to remain alive rather than neatly packaged. All these gaps, silences, and hiddenings give the Gospel of Mark its unique power. When a text does not explain everything, the reader becomes more awake, more involved. We fill in the spaces ourselves. We ask questions. We notice the tension between what is said and what is left unsaid. And in that tension, Yeshua appears not as a theoretician, but as someone who does. Maybe this is why Mark still feels modern. He lets silence speak. He leaves hints in place. He does not force the truth onto the reader, but invites us into it. Thank you for listening to the Yeshua community. If this reflection meant something to you, click like, share it with someone who might appreciate it, subscribe to the channel, and feel free to leave a comment. May you have peace and blessings.